Good morning, all. Now we are moving on to the second part of anti-epileptics class. In the first session, we have discussed mainly about conventional anti-epileptics like phenobarbital, phenytoin, carbamazepine, valproate, benzodiazepines, primidone, fosphenytoin, etc. And we also had started our discussion about newer anti-epileptics also. And we discussed about certain agents which modulates the release of neurotransmitters by their action on certain synaptic vesicular proteins, and those agents were levetiracetam and brivaracetam. And now we have certain other remaining agents. For example, those acting via NMDA receptors includes felbamate, and certain agents acting via AMPA receptors, example is perampanel, and the retigabin which act on potassium channels. And the next group is those acting via sodium channels, which includes lamotrigine, topiramate, sonisamate, lacosamate, and rufinamide. And the last group is those acting via GABA receptors, which includes gabapentin, vigabatrin, tiagabin, stiripentol, and ganoxolone. Now we are moving on to the first group of drugs which acts by prolonging the sodium channel inactivation. And lamotrigine is our first agent. It's a broad spectrum anti-epileptic drug. The main or primary mechanism of action is to prolongation of the sodium channel inactivation. It mainly blocks the voltage sensitive sodium channels, and associated with that, it also inhibits synaptic release of excitatory neurotransmitters like glutamate, and also blocks certain voltage gated calcium channels too. And few pharmacokinetic features of this lamotrigine: it's completely absorbed following oral administration and metabolized by glucuronidation. It has a T-half of around 24 hours, and this T-half is decreased by the enzyme inducer drugs, and its T-half is increased by certain enzyme inhibitors like valproate, and it's used in absence seizures, myoclonic seizures, akinetic seizures, and a seizure disorder known as Lennox-Gastaut syndrome, and as an add-on or monotherapy for partial and generalized tonic-clonic seizures, and it can also be used for this bipolar disorders also. And few adverse effects for this lamotrigine: it includes dizziness, ataxia, blurred or double vision, nausea or vomiting, rashes and dermatitis, especially in children, and sometimes it may even precipitate Stevens-Johnson syndrome or disseminated intravascular coagulation. The second agent is topiramate. Just like lamotrigine, this agent is also a broad spectrum anti-epileptic drug. Prolongation of the sodium channel inactivation is its primary mechanism of action. Along with this, it exhibits other mechanisms like it blocks the AMPA kainate glutamate receptors. Glutamate is the excitatory neurotransmitter, and it activates hyperpolarizing potassium channel. So hyperpolarization leads to decreased conduction of action potential, and enhances the postsynaptic GABA receptor current as well. And along with this, it also exhibits a weak carbonic anhydrase inhibiting property. And its pharmacokinetic features: this drug is absorbed orally, excreted unchanged in urine in a T-half of 24 hours. Even though this drug is said to have very few or very minute drug interaction, it produces oral contraceptive failure because it induces its metabolism. And it's used as a monotherapy or an adjuvant agent in refractory partial seizures as well as GTCS, and as an add-on therapy in myoclonic and absence seizures, useful in Lennox-Gastaut syndrome, and also useful in the prophylaxis for migraine. And the side effects associated with its use include cognitive slowing, sedation, dizziness, ataxia, nervousness, poor memory or paresthesias, and weight loss. And very rarely it produces certain renal calculi also. And use of this drug in pregnancy is associated with the presence of certain cleft lip or cleft palate in children. So coming to our next agent, it's sonisamate. It's a sulfonamide derivative, and its mechanism of action is to inhibit the sodium channels, and along with this sodium channel inhibition, it also inhibit calcium channels and as well as carbonic anhydrase enzyme. This drug has a very good oral bioavailability, and it has got a T-half of around 60 hours, and this drug possesses very minimal drug interactions. This agent is mainly used as an adjuvant in partial as well as generalized seizures. The use of this drug is associated with the following adverse effects like drowsiness, amnesia, anorexia, ataxia, gastrointestinal complaints, renal stone, metabolic acidosis, and it's also said to produce spontaneous abortion if it's used in pregnant ladies. It should be avoided in those with hypersensitivity and as well as in children. The next agent is lacosamide. It leads to slow inactivation of sodium channels. The half-life of this drug is about 12 hours, and it has got very negligible drug interactions. It's used as an add-on therapy in adults with partial onset seizures with or without having secondary generalization. And the adverse effects are ataxia, vertigo, diplopia, tremor, depression, and cardiovascular side effects like arrhythmias and in prolongation of PR interval and AV block. So our last sodium channel blocker is rufinamide. It's a triazole derivative. It has got very minimal protein binding, and its metabolism is quite independent of cytochrome P enzymes. It's mainly used in children with Lennox-Gastaut syndrome, and it produces adverse effects like increased daytime sleeping, vomiting, and headache. We are moving on to the next group of drugs in the newer anti-epileptics, which act by enhancing the GABA mediated inhibition. GABA is a inhibitory neurotransmitter in the brain, so by modulating its transmission as well as its metabolism, we can impair the repetitive firing of the neurons in case of epilepsy or seizure disorder. The first drug is gabapentin. It's a lipophilic GABA derivative. Being lipophilic, it easily crosses the blood-brain barrier, and its mechanism of action includes it enhances the GABA release. Along with this GABA release, it also modulates the glutamate release also. Glutamate being an excitatory neurotransmitter in the brain. It modulates the voltage sensitive calcium channel, which contains alpha 2 delta 1 subunit in the presynaptic membrane. So by attaching to this calcium channel, it decreases the entry of calcium into the presynaptic neuron. So this decreased calcium entry leads to reduction of the glutamate release, and this reduced glutamate release leads to lowering of the neuronal excitability. This gabapentin, well absorbed orally, it does not bind to any plasma proteins and does not possess any drug interactions too, and it produces the adverse effects like somnolence, dizziness, ataxia, and fatigue. And its uses include as an add-on drug for focal onset seizures with or without secondary generalization, and other uses like bipolar disorders, migraine, and neuralgias, different types like trigeminal neuralgias, postherpetic neuralgias, and diabetic neuropathy. The next drug is a congener of gabapentin. It's known as pregabalin. Mechanism of action and its pharmacokinetic features are almost similar to gabapentin. It's used mainly for neuralgias or postherpetic neuralgias, diabetic neuralgias, fibromyalgia, and complex regional pain syndromes. Coming to our next drug, it's vigabatrin. It's a structural analog of GABA. It acts by inhibiting, it has got an irreversible inhibition of GABA aminotransferase enzyme. The GABA aminotransferase enzyme, which degrades the GABA into succinic semialdehyde. So by inhibiting this GABA transferase enzyme, it prolongs the duration of action of GABA, and along with that it also inhibits the vesicular reuptake of GABA by inhibiting vesicular GABA transporter. So by both these actions, it increases the synaptic concentration of GABA, and this agent is used as an adjuvant for refractory partial seizures and also for infantile spasm. And the adverse effect associated with its use include dizziness, drowsiness, weight gain, agitation, confusion, or psychosis. And it also said to cause concentric visual field constriction in patients on long-term therapy. Our next agent is tiagabin. It acts by inhibiting GABA transporter GAT1. By inhibiting this transporter GAT1, it inhibits the reuptake of GABA from the synapse by these neurons as well as glia. So it leads to prolongation of the action of GABA in the synapse. It has a rapid oral absorption and it's highly plasma protein bound, and this drug is metabolized by cytochrome enzymes. Tiagabine is mainly preferred in refractory partial seizures, and the side effects associated with it are dizziness, somnolence, confusion, sedation, tremor, and dermatitis. The next agent is stiripentol. By structure, it's an aromatic alcohol. It acts by enhancing the GABAergic transmission in the brain. This enhancement is either result from the inhibition of synaptical reuptake or by the inhibition of this GABA transaminase. It's a potent enzyme inhibitor, and it's mainly used in refractory generalized tonic-clonic seizures, severe myoclonic epilepsy of the infancy, and it produces adverse effects like anorexia, insomnia, ataxia, dystonia, and hypotonia. Now it's the third group of newer anti-epileptic drugs. That means those inhibiting the glutaminergic excitation. Glutamate is the excitatory neurotransmitter in the brain. So by inhibiting this excitatory neurotransmitter, either by inhibiting its release or by inhibiting its receptors like AMPA receptors or NMDA receptors, we can suppress the excitatory activities, and we can suppress all those epileptic or seizure activities. The first drug under this category is felbamate. It acts by blocking the NMDA type of glutamate receptors, and thus it shortens the duration of the repetitive discharges by the neurons. And along with that, it also potentiates GABA A receptor responses. And this felbamate is useful for poorly controlled partial seizures and secondary generalized seizures, and also useful in Lennox-Gastaut syndrome. And the adverse effects include it produces CNS adverse effects like insomnia, nausea, dizziness, ataxia, and also produces aplastic anemia as well as hepatotoxicity. So the next agent is perampanel. It's a selective non-competitive antagonist at the AMPA type of glutamate receptors. So by inhibiting this AMPA receptor, it prevents the repetitive neuronal firing as well as inhibits the seizure propagation. And this drug is metabolized by cytochrome P3 enzymes, and its main uses are as an adjuvant for the focal seizures, and it produces certain adverse effects like gastrointestinal distress, suicidal thoughts, and anxiety. The next agent is esogabin bar reticabin. It's not a glutamate modulator. It acts by opens the potassium channels. So by opening the potassium channel, it allows the entry of potassium ions. This potassium ions entry leads to hyperpolarization of the neurons, and this hyperpolarization reduces the neuronal excitability, and associated with this, it also increases GABA mediated currents. The main uses for this drug is focal onset seizures in people more than 18 years old, and its use is associated with certain adverse effects like drowsiness, vertigo, confusion, memory loss, gait disturbances, tremor, double vision, QT prolongation, some retinal abnormalities, as well as certain neuropsychiatric manifestations. So now we have a newer agent. Its name is ganoxolone. It's a neurosteroid, and it's said to possess a positive modulatory role in GABA A receptor. Neurosteroid means it's a steroid-like structure, and it's mainly synthesized in the CNS itself. And nowadays, its clinical trials are ongoing for infantile spasm, refractory partial seizures, migraine, mood disorders, alcohol as well as cocaine withdrawal seizures, and it's said to possess. It has a promising effective role in reducing catamenial epilepsy. Catamenial epilepsy means the epilepsy mainly seen during menses, and it's said to possess certain side effects too: sedation, dizziness, and headache. So far, we have discussed about several newer as well as conventional anti-epileptic drugs, and in this part, we will be discussing about the treatment of epilepsies. The first point is general principles. The selection of a drug and its dose is purely depending upon the type of seizure as well as the need of the patient. Initiate the treatment as early as possible, and always start the start a single drug at a lower dose. Combinations should only be used when all the reasonable monotherapy fails, and all drug withdrawal should be gradual. And if you want to adjust the dose, it should be adjusted only with the use of therapeutic drug monitoring. This table will give you an idea of the first line drugs, alternative drugs, and as well as reserve drug for each type of seizures like focal onset, generalized tonic-clonic seizures, generalized absence seizure, myoclonic seizure, and atonic seizures. Coming to the management of few other types of epilepsy. The first one is febrile convulsions. In this type of convulsions usually seen in children along with fever. For the management of this type of convulsion, we can use diazepam through the rectal route in a dose of 0.5 milligram per kilogram. And if the seizure does not stop within 5 minutes, we can repeat the same dose. And this drug can be repeated 12 hourly for 4 doses. And if fever prolongs, next series of doses should be started after 24 to 48 hours. And intermittent prophylaxis is also possible in this case. Diazepam, which could be oral or rectal administered dose at the start of the fever. And for infantile spasm, the effective drugs are clonazepam, sodium valproate, vigabatrin, and glucocorticoids can also be used along with these agents. And the next condition is Lennox-Gastaut syndrome. The drugs usually used are topiramate, felbamate, lamotrigine, and clobazam is also used as an adjuvant agent. The next condition is status epilepticus. It's a medical emergency which is associated with significant mortality as well as morbidity. Status epilepticus means there is continuous seizure activity which lasts for more than 30 minutes, or there is 2 or 3 seizures and there is no full recovery of consciousness in between the episodes. Nowadays it is believed that any seizure activity which lasts for more than 5 minutes should be treated just like this status epilepticus. And we should maintain a proper airway, oxygenation, fluid and electrolyte balance for the patient. And initially we have to suppress the seizure activity by using intravenous benzodiazepines. We can use lorazepam 4 mg or diazepam 10 mg and can be repeated the same dose if required after 10 minutes. And to correct the hypoglycemia, we should administer 50% dextrose intravenously. The next administered drug is fosphenytoin in a dose of 100 to 150 mg per minute IV infusion, maximum up to 1000 mg. It should be monitored by continuous ECG because of its cardiovascular adverse effect. This fosphenytoin suppresses the seizure activities which are not responded by the lorazepam. If fosphenytoin is not available, we can use phenytoin at a rate of 25 to 50 mg per minute. And as an alternative to fosphenytoin, we can use phenobarbital also. And in refractory cases, that means they are not responding to this fosphenytoin or lorazepam, we can use IV midazolam, propofol or thiopentone anesthesia. Then few points about this anti-seizure therapy and pregnancy. So before pregnancy planning itself, the drug should be changed to a much safer one. And when the women on drug conceive, the drug therapy should not be stopped. So it should only be shifted to a much safer drug. If you stop a drug during pregnancy, sometimes it may precipitate status epilepticus. So any status epilepticus during pregnancy leads to increased chances of birth defect as well as mental retardation. And to prevent the neural tube defect, we should supplement the pregnancy with folate, and to prevent the bleeding disorder, vitamin K supplementation should also be done. And that's all about anti-epileptic drugs. The treatment of epilepsy is not simple. It requires proper management of each episodes of seizures, long-term drug prophylaxis, and regular reassessment of the patient. So we have discussed about conventional as well as newer anti-epileptic drugs, and we have mentioned about the drug therapy of few important conditions in epilepsy. Thank you.